Yeah, I was just having a scroll through the developer guide and the contributing guide, and this is like really comprehensive. Like this, a lot of developer guides are made under the assumption that you're already a developer on the
Yeah,
project or
exactly.
already a well understood well understood how development environment works. This is really clear. Now obviously I'm someone who, has quite a lot of experience with development,
Mm.
so maybe there's like some sort of pain point that I'm missing, but what has that experience been like with like new people who have sort of come into the project? I assume that has sort of shaped the way that you handle and like other people in the project handle these guides.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been great. Actually, just brought on like two more maintainers, I think,
Mhm.
this last week or so, or not maintainers, but like soon to be maybe,
Sure, sure,
contributors.
sure.
And I mean, they got up and going. Like, I don't know. I mean, if you go through it and read it and whatever,
Mhm.
you at least have a basic setup going. I mean, you can get going in 15 minutes,
Mhm.
10
Mhm.
minutes or whatever.
Mhm.
And we even, for example, we have a separate server for different testing and whatnot. We provide like uh, bot tokens, that
Mhm.
they can use in live database URLs that we have that they can just like use, so they don't even have to set that up.
Sorry, I just opened up the code. I have not seen an open source project that has in code documentation this comprehensive,
Yeah. So
like,
so
ever.
every so the entire project is documented like documentation wise,
Ah,
and then the entire project is also strictly typed, like
right. Okay,
so-
okay.
yeah, and it uses very very modern, like kind of paradigms, I guess, and and,
Mm,
and libraries, in terms of like logging and error handling,
mm.
and it's very I think it's I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. This is really nice. I open up a lot of open source projects and like I get it, right, because most open source projects the intention is it's one person working on it and then other people happen to come along, and
Mhm.
it's clear from this that the intention is that you want other people working on it. It's not supposed to be something that you just maintain until the end of time.
Yeah, no, that was always from the beginning, was how do we get as many people as possible to be able to contribute?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's why like we went with Python as well, just because it was probably the most
Yeah,
reasonable for, the mass majority.
yeah. Like people complain about like language choices. Yeah, maybe it's not the
It's
fastest
fine.
thing out there, but it's a great
It's
language.
a
It's
Discord bot, okay? At the end of the day, it's a Discord bot, and like you're still limited by
the Discord API speed.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, Discord API speed. Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I like Python. It wasn't my first language. My first language was Java, which you know, um,
I mean,
I much prefer writing Python, and I don't know. I think this sort of goes back to the elitism you were talking about before. I think there is some sort of elitism around like syntactic sugar
oh, for
because
sure.
a language like I could imagine a equivalent level of functionality for something like a C++ or a C that is built from the ground up with more modern syntax standards, where it sort of removes a lot of the additional stuff that kind of feels confusing without actually
Mm,
changing how it works. Where
mm.
it's developed with more of a Python style look to it, and I
Yeah,
think
human readable.
yeah, 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 and it makes sense, right? Because C and then C plus obviously because it stems from that background. It's from a much earlier time in development, and you can see a
Uh-huh.
lot of modern languages do take a more like human readable approach. Um, and I think a lot of people sort of confuse the idea of complex syntax as like I don't know, it's something you can learn. Like complex syntax isn't hard. It's just a barrier, right? Like I look at
Yeah.
Rust code and I'm like, there it's
It's just there's just a lot of like hieroglyphics, so be it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
there's just a lot of symbols, like da 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 da, like
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Haskell, even so be it.
Well, just like a basic thing that you can do in a more modern looking language is remove the like ampersands and just write and if you want to do and
Yeah,
like
sure, sure.
just basic things like that, which to someone who is new to programming, it immediately makes it feel just slightly more readable. It's one less thing they have to worry about when they're getting up to speed.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
So earlier you were talking about like bringing people on, and you were talking about like problems you had with recruiters and all of that. Like, how do you go about actually bringing someone on? Like, what is the I assume there's some sort of interviews process there. Like, once you actually do bring someone on, what is that onboarding process actually like? I'm sure obviously it'll be different for the different things they're involved in, but
Hmm.
like as like a general sort of idea, like how do you go about approaching this? And I assume that you're not the only one involved in handling that. You would probably have other people involved in it as well.
Yeah, 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 yep. Um, so we obviously have the website.
Mm.
There's a if you check it out, there's a get on the far right. There's a button, get involved,
Uh-huh.
and so you can see the different like teams, I guess you could say, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
departments if you're going to be formal, and different positions.
Mhm.
So those people can apply for, and then we also so at the very start of the server, most of the moderation and whatnot, and because at the beginning it was just moderators,
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
all these other new roles and stuff didn't exist. Eventually, then that grew. We kind of have like we do have a hierarchy system, although it's not like your traditional like I am your boss, da 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 da. Like
Yeah.
we're still all equals. It's more so the hierarchy is to provide wisdom and advice, and for people that have more experience and time to maybe handle more complex issues like kind of interpersonal drama and just things that need a little bit of
Right, right,
more like
right.
care, special touch. And so um yeah, we have that hierarchy, and then um yeah, so the at first it was basically people that I knew, people that I trusted through some other different communities and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. I said, hey, like I need help. The very early days were pretty rough. Like it was some very long hours. And then that started growing to, yes, to basically we would start people off as junior moderators. That
Mm-hmm.
would be kind of like a trial period. They would become moderators, senior moderators, admin. There's now an admin assistant role, and what that looks like. So actually, so I will say this too.
Mm-hmm.
I have a vibes sort of thing. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I just like, and some of the people think I'm crazy about it because like it'll just be a complete stranger who has like 500 messages in the server, 300 messages, and I'm just like, they're the one.
Right,
Like
right, right.
they're
No, I
just
get
like
what you're saying.
I just know like they're just I just can feel it. I can
Mm-hmm.
tell
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
way they write, everything about them, the things that they're interested in. Like they would be
Yep, yep,
great for
yep,
the
yep.
team, and it's usually always worked out. And so for those people, I'll send them a message and be like, hey, like, are you interested in potentially joining us? Da da da, and they join. And so there's been a handful of those that I've just seen and reached out to, and
Mm-hmm.
then equally, yeah. So how that works is people will apply, we'll go through the senior mods and stuff, will also chime in, review it, add in their pros and cons of that. Obviously, we're looking for different things like time zones that can help a lot. The team right now is comprised of people all the way from West Coast America, East Coast, Central, Switzerland, I think Sweden, Bulgaria, uh, Australia. Yeah, shout out Australia. A lot of places. And
Mm-hmm.
so time zones matter. Age age is a thing where like typically there's some exceptions. We do have an age limit of 16 plus for pretty much, but there's a few exceptions for like the super genius savant
Sure, sure.
people, like, especially when they're in more technical roles where it doesn't matter as much, like for moderation.
Hmm.
And then we'll reach out to them, say, hey, blah, 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 we're interested in your application. We'll invite them to a
Hmm.
call, schedule that out. Typically, by this point, we don't really have an interview process.
Right.
It's more or less like we just go straight into it. And for moderator positions, typically because we have that junior period,
Mm-hmm.
which is maybe 2 weeks to a month or a month and a half. But we'll have a personally like one-to-one onboarding that
Hmm.
lasts like I don't know, maybe about 45 minutes,
Hmm.
and we'll go through basically everything about the role, um, the server, the bots, ticketing processes, the sort of uh, the expected like standard operating procedures of how a ticket, some few rules, different things like that, different resources, our moderator handbook you can find on our GitHub as well.
Hmm.
Um, Q&A stuff, some yeah, stuff like that.
Right, right, right. And I assume that you also have some like moderator chat. If someone is unsure about something, they can reach out to other mods, ask them
That's
about
our
something.
number one rule.
Uh-huh.
Just ask.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you ever have any hesitation, doubt, confusion, wonder, whatever, just ask.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Always ask. And I always, kind of stress like at the end of the day, this is just Discord, right? Like this is like, we can take our time. We don't, there's no need to stress. Like, tickets don't have to be answered like this. Like, and our ticket response times are crazy good, like far better than some other places. But I mean, hell, we have probably better ticket response time than Fortune 500 companies at this point. But yeah, so but just ask, just ask.
Mm-hmm. 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 So it sounds like there's a lot in place to really make the process as easy as possible. This seems like a trend across a lot of what's being done here. The idea is, how do we get people involved? How do we bring them on in a way that they get up to speed? And I guess, well, I guess when you have something as big as, well, what it is right now, but also the plans you have going forward, sort of being able to bring people on as easy as possible is really important. And it at least seems like that's what you've achieved here. Now, obviously, with things expanding even more, are you going to be able to keep that up with everything? It's a goal,
So
but
so in terms of onboarding, for example,
mm.
obviously like that takes time.
Sure,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
had so there was a person that was on the team that actually was kind of, that was their thing. Like they handled all onboarding and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
They had to take a break, just personal stuff, and so I kind of moved to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then last, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago or so, after a big like hiring run, quote unquote, um, I think we had like 60 something applications for that across all different roles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to go through all of those. And then I think we brought on maybe six
Mm-hmm.
new team members. And I did all of those that in 1 week. So
Mm-hmm.
that's six nearly 45-minute calls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a lot. Like that's a lot of talking.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
can be strenuous. Like, and so doing that, can I keep that up personally with all the other stuff going on? Probably not, and I think now that we're in the process of like, we routinely like promote people within it, like we just had a moderator that, what's crazy enough is that this moderator at the, earlier on, I thought, oh, like we might have to let them go, or like, I don't know if like they're cutting it. Well, things changed, and now I just promoted them to senior mod, like because like they showed their potential and their wisdom, their maturity and stuff. And so I think continuing that, we just brought on also a new assistant administrator, and we're setting a plan now, or like in motion, the sort of project management aspect to all of this, so that it's now removed out of my brain and
Right,
in a safe
right.
space. And then once we have that, in plan and or in process, things can go a lot more smoothly, and we can train people for those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Although I do, we at the end of the day, we do strive to keep that personal touch, though. I've questioned the idea of like, and we're in the process of creating kind of like some onboarding, like slide deck type stuff. But I even question like, oh, like should we like record this and like just
Mm.
give them the video? But nah, like personal touch is everything.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, you don't want it to become you don't want it to start having like this like corporate-y feel to it, where it's like
Yeah, yeah,
here is our
exactly.
onboarding video.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch our 20-minute video to understand how to fit
Yeah,
in here.
yeah.